So make those offensive arguments. And the other thing is, at least if there's ink on the affirmative flow, they can't claim 100% probability and magnitude of their impacts. And then the disad matters a lot more. So those are offensive, not just because they're offense against case, but they're also getting you the leverage you need to win in the disad. The other thing I would say on case is that you need to identify and neutralize plan spikes. People get gamesy, or I think it's just kind of dumb, but for some reason, they'll just start adding things to plan that try and preempt politics links or try and preempt disads. Josh Garrett used to claim utopian fiat. I don't know what that means, and he wouldn't explain it. So all you have to do, if somebody claims something dumb like utopian fiat, just go to the plan debate and be like, he doesn't explain what this means. Don't let him leverage this in the debate in any way that wasn't explained in the 1AC. Moving on. Right? Like, you have to neutralize those plan spikes, because otherwise you're going to see some shady stuff happening in the 2AR that some judges may or may not catch. How to prepare. Are there any questions about the case debate? How to prepare a strategy. The first thing I'd say is that you have to be ready with generic strats. And as Boyer was saying last night, be ready with generic strats for different genres of affirmatives. Tailor your strats, which means that you have to gather information as much as possible about the affirmative case and the affirmative debater, as much of that information as possible, and then you inform your tailoring of the strategy to the paradigm of the judge. Or like you're informed by that paradigm or what you may or may not know about that judge. Right? So you're making decisions prior to the round about what the 1NC is going to do based on not just what you know about the judge, but what you don't know. You don't want to take certain risks about the speed or the amount of things that you're trying to fit in that 7 minutes. Because you may or may not know what that judge thinks on that issue. But if you do, obviously that helps. But if you don't take the risk. Don't leverage your bets or hedge towards safety. Right? Don't take unnecessary risks. The other thing I would say about winning the time war is you have to time your strategy, and you have to time every component of the strategy. Time your T-shell. And I used to write in the corner in different color ink how long it would take me to read that T-shell as fast as I could and at a normal pace. So I would have 2 different times. So that if I, during a round, had to put positions together because maybe I was caught off guard by the affirmative, or maybe I changed my mind, or whatever, I know that I'm just adding. I know that all I have to do is say, okay, I can generally read this shell in about 30 seconds. This disad takes me a minute and 15. This counterplan takes me a minute and 30. And so you're adding up as you go. It's not just a guess. You know, within a certain margin of error, how much time each position is taking you in the 1NC. Failure to do that could very well lead to one of those 1NCs that's like, I don't think that are just the impacts are not unique, right? Like, that's the problem. So really time yourself, time your positions prior to the tournament, prior to the round, so that you know. And then the other thing that does is during the 1NC, if you're watching your timer and you know what this should take you, but it just took you an extra 15 to read, then you know that you need to make that 15 seconds up somewhere. And I think that leads to modular organizations. Anybody who's done any computer programming understands what I mean here. You could take pieces from different strategies that you think might work together, right? And if you know what the times are, and you know what the offense that you're garnering out of each of those things, then it doesn't really take too much work to modularize your strategies. A little bit of here, a little bit of there. Let's put it together. That means that we need a couple of things for case-specific strategy creation. Save your flows. Save your flows. Save your flows. Save your flows. Get done with the round. The first thing you do is take your flows, put them all together neatly, stack them up, fold them like this, and right here, you write all of the information that you would need. You need to know what tournament you're at, what round it is, who you debated, what they ran, and who the judge was, bare minimum. And then turn it over, and this way, write your executive summary of the round. Right? Like, I ran X, he or she ran this, and this is what I go for, or this is what they go for, if you're on the affirmative. Right? Failure to do that means that come NFA, you're just as prepared to debate what's out there as you were at Purdue, or Truman, or whatever your first semester tournament is. Right? Like, you may remember some of it, but if you don't have an organized catalog of all of your flows, how are you going to be prepared to debate a case, any more prepared to debate a case than the first time you heard it? Write your blocks out word for word. Be prepared to deviate from your blocks, right? Be prepared to catch changes in the case flow. Don't just sit there during the 1AC and like paint, draw little pictures. Pay attention, but write out your blocks against their advantage 1 or advantage 3, word for word, and time them at your slowest pace and your fastest pace, so that you know that if you want to add something, maybe a new T or whatever, because they changed their plan text and now they're not topical, you know that you have to take something out, and maybe those advantage 3 responses are what you're going to sacrifice. I'm not saying that that's a good idea. I'm just saying that you have to be strategically thinking about that opportunity cost. You can't just add a T to a strategy without sacrificing something. And having a modular organization of blocks that are written out word for word lets you better understand that cost. Nick, do you plan on talking about CX?
No.
Okay, then I'm going to talk about the strategic thinking of CX, and then I'm done. The first thing I would say about CX as an observation is that it's a mini game. Anybody played Mario Party? It's very much a mini game, in the sense that it's a game that happens inside a game, and what happens in that game affects the content of the larger game. So, can you lose cross-X and still win the round? Sure. But if you win cross-X, you're a lot more likely to win the round. So, I would give you a little bit of advice. The first thing I would say